Hi guys, the Metal Maniac back again, and in this video I'm going to be doing a review of the compilation album A Legacy of Ripping Death by the death thrash band Devastation. Um, this is a compilation that actually came out years after the band broke up. It contains almost every single thing they ever recorded, except for their debut demo, which I do have. It's actually an individual release that actually, right here, the debut demo is the only thing that's not on this compilation. But this actually did come with this. Like, these two things were sold together. They were, I guess they were just sort of like always sold together. I don't know if they originally were, but the person that I bought this from, these two things were being sold in one thing. But anyway. There we go. Anyway, so yeah, so like I said, this contains almost everything they ever recorded, except for their debut demo. Anyway, so this compilation contains their second demo, a recreation of Ripping Death from 1987. Their first and only full-length album called Dispensable Bloodshed, also from it was recorded in 1987, but it was not released until this compilation. And then there are two recordings of two different live shows. The first live show from 1986, featuring their original vocalist that was on their debut demo. And then a live show from 1987 featuring the replacement vocalist that's on pretty much everything else that's on here. Now, before I get in the songs, I'm gonna name off the band members really quickly, and then I'm actually gonna talk very briefly just about the difference in the vocal styles of the two different vocalists. Anyway, so the majority of these songs, the lineup is Dune Rasman on vocals, Frank Keipe on bass, Pat Buxley on drums, and Irv Birmingham on guitar. Now, concerning the difference in the two different vocalists, their original vocalist, Troy Dixler, he had more of the traditional death metal guttural growls, combining a little bit of that thrash metal shout, but it's sort of a death metal growl, but at the same time using the thrash metal shout, it's sort of intertwined with it. Whereas Dune Rismond, he has more of a raspy shout. Like, it's sort of a little bit more thrash metal-ish, but not quite. Yeah, there's definitely a difference here. Not a drastic difference or anything, but you could definitely tell it's a different vocalist with a slightly different style of vocals. Anyway, I don't know. I think I'm just gonna the track listing here is actually sectioned off into different categories, into the different releases rather than just one giant track listing combining everything. So I guess I'm gonna go by review release by release on here, and just the order of the releases, I guess. Because as you can see, they're sectioned off here into the different categories. Or not different categories, different releases. Alright, so starting off with the first four tracks, which are from the, I can't speak today. They're from the second demo, A Recreation of Ripping Death. The second demo starts off with the song Cranial Hemorrhage, and what a way to start off the demo. Right off the bat, Dune Risman just nails it. It's always it's always difficult when a band changes vocalists suddenly, and they really have to like the first thing they know that they're the first thing you hear from that vocalist will determine whether you like that vocalist or not. So it's always just kind of nerve wracking when a new vocalist comes in and tries to uh, uh, um, I guess introduce themselves in a way, when they do a very first song with that band. But this replacement vocalist nails it. Like I said, cranial hemorrhage is a great way to introduce for this band to introduce their new vocalist. It's just a really great, frantic, chaotic song with a really cool riff, great solo work. And Dune Rissman's sort of raspy shouts just at the absolute max, and he absolutely nails it here. Really great song. Unfortunately, that's kind of where this demo sort of dips down afterwards. There's sort of an okayish instrumental called Nuclear Winter. Yeah, it's all right. And then there are actually two re-recorded versions of songs that were on their debut demo, Beyond Fear and Devastation. Yeah, considering that this demo started off at a high note, yeah, the re-recorded versions musically aren't bad. Vocally, Dune Rissman is still great on the vocals. It just the way just the way his vocals are differ, and the way he phrases them slightly differently. I don't know. It feels like he hasn't got a grasp of the older doing the vocals of the old pre-existing songs yet. Because as I will talk about later on, these two or one of the songs is re-recorded again, he does get better. But I don't know, here with these two re-recorded versions, it just feels a bit off. Again, musically it's still really good, but vocally I don't know. It feels like he isn't quite used to the material yet. Like he's just sort of starting to learn their songs, and especially these older ones that were again previously written with the other vocalist in mind. Yeah, they're musically they're pretty good, but vocally it's just off. And that really ends the second demo. Starts off with a great high note, but unfortunately the last two the instrumental's just okay in the last two tracks. The re-recorded version's eh. Yeah. So that's the second demo, a recreation of Ripping Death. Thankfully it mostly gets better from here. Now going into the full-length album, Dispensable Bloodshed. And Dispensable Bloodshed starts off with a re-recorded version of the first track on the second demo, Cranial Hemorrhage. And it's just as good as the demo version, honestly. I'd say like the songs that appear on the first and second demos that do appear again on the full length album, they sound almost identical, or at least the ones that at least the ones that appeared on the second demo. Vocal wise, they sound almost identical, but Dune Rissman, you could kind of hear he's getting more used to the songs and especially the older ones. He's doing a lot better. It feels like he's learning how to adapt to these songs, and it just feels like as time goes on, he gets better and better on these songs. But Cranial Hemorrhage, just like the original demo version, is fantastic right off the bat. And then it goes into the title track of the first and only album, Dispensable Bloodshed. Dispensable Bloodshed, really, really cool. It starts off with this really great sort of bass line and this bass riff that sort of flows perfectly into the main riff, or not. I guess the opening riff that is sort of similar as the main riff, maybe slightly different. But I love how like the opening bass riff mirrors the main opening slash main riff ish kind of thing, because there's a different riff near the middle that is a sort of it's almost identical, but there's a slight difference, I guess. Um, love that. Another fantastic solo contained in the song as well. Irv Brunningham is probably one of the most underrated guitarists in death metal. Just some really memorable solos and even a lot of memorable riffs as well. Just great guitarist, very underrated. But yeah, Dispensable Bloodshed is also a fantastic song. Dune Russman, just again fantastic, just like with the song before it, Cranial Hemorrhage. Like I said, it seems like he just got better and better as time went on. With the first demo, with the second half, he kind of, but yeah, it's just really good that he just got even better. But anyway, next up is the song "Genetic Poisoning." And this starts off with a really cool opening, sort of eerie choir kind of thing. Before even the actual song starts, like there's this extended portion on the opening where it's like this very eerie sort of choir, almost sounds like almost taken from like a horror movie soundtrack. In fact, it kind of sounds like something that would be on the soundtrack to like a Tim Burton movie. It's just that sort of like, cool, very creepy eeriness. Yeah, it's fantastic. And then it goes into the main portion of the song, with another great riff. The solo is great too. Yeah, just another overall fantastic song. And then the next one is sort of a weird one, because it's another instrumental, but this time it's just titled as instrumental. And just like with pretty much there's only two instrumentals they ever did, but you know the Nuclear Winter was re-recorded a few times. Just like with the instrumental Nuclear Winter, it's just sort of okay. Although I will say I like it even less than Nuclear Winter, but I still don't think it's bad. I just think it's okay. Um, yeah, and then the next song is another fantastic song, Psychopathic. This is probably Devastation's most frantic, chaotic, and crazed sounding song. Like, this is also their fastest, I think. Just off the wall, just speed, speed, speed. With an absolutely killer vocal performance by Dune here. Like, probably his best vocal performance he's ever done on any of these songs ever. And the fastness of the song, the speed of the song, like somehow Dune Rissman somehow is able to perfectly match the speed of the riffs with his vocal delivery. Like, it is amazing. Like, it is a very fast song, and like, I mean, the vocal delivery is just amazingly fast paced, perfect in rhythm with the fast pacedness of the actual riffs going on here, and just the overall fast nature of this song. And again, with another fantastic guitar solo. But yeah, probably Dune Rissman's best vocal performance ever. And then next up is another re-recorded version of Beyond Fear, but this time it's done right. Like I said before, it seems like over time, Dune Rissman just got better with everything. Like, again, with the first demo, the second half, it's kind of meh. But it feels like he's already gotten used to everything by now, and he's a lot more confident, a lot more. Like, it seems like he's also just practiced more just practiced the vocals more. And here, this version of Beyond Fear, well, not quite as good as on the debut demo. This is definitely up there, though. Like, this is probably my second favorite version. Not only are it's a better vocal performance than on the first re-recorded version, on the second demo, but they actually speed up the tempo of the song quite a bit, and I think it also sort of helps, I guess. Like, A lot of these songs, like, or most of these songs, from this era of the band, when Dune Risman was on vocals, they're maybe even a bit more fast paced than most of the songs on the debut demo. And I think that really helps because Dune Risman is, he works better with the more fast paced stuff, I guess, rather than the more. Well, everything's fast paced with this band, but I'd say the more lightning speed stuff, I guess. For example, just take the song "Psychopathic" and you'll see what I mean, or just listen to the song "Psychopathic" and you'll see what I mean. But yeah, this version of Beyond Fear is fantastic. Although I do slightly prefer the original demo version with Troy Dixler on vocals. But yeah, just another great song in an awesome re-recorded version of my favorite Devastation song. And then lastly, for the full-length album is a re-recorded version of the instrumental Nuclear Winter, and yeah, honestly, it's just okay. All right. So the last two sections on here are the two live shows. First up, live 86. Sorry, I can't speak today. Live 86. This is the live show that has Troy Dixler on vocals. So I think this is probably like even before the first demo. But oddly enough, there's quite a few songs on here that are from the Dune Risman era of Devastation. Like there's quite a few songs that are actually featured on the second demo as well as their first and only full length album. Such as Psychopathic, Cranial Hemorrhage, and not necessarily Nuclear Winter because that was re-recorded and was on the first demo. But anyway, yeah, there's a couple. There's not a couple. There's like two. But still, that's interesting. So I guess those two were already pre-existing songs that just didn't make it onto the first demo for whatever reason. Yeah. So there's a live version of the song "Devastation," which is amazing. "Awaken from Death" is a great one live. "Psychopathic." Also really good. Although I still kind of prefer the album version with Dune Risman on vocals, but this live version with Troy Dixler on vocals is great as well. Beyond Fear is a great live version. There's actually a song on here, Realm of the Mastodon, which is not featured on any other thing on here. I think it was only a live, like it was a song that was pretty much just played live, I guess. But yeah, Realm of the Mastodon is probably my least favorite Devastation song. It's just sort of meh, and I could kind of see why they didn't left it off of any releases. Live version of Cranial Hemorrhage, really good. The only live version of Apocalyptic Warrior, because for some reason, was it? Oh no, it is. Sorry, I'm wrong. It is on the. It is also on the live '87 version. It's just not on any of the other studio recordings except for their debut demo. But yeah, a really great live version of Apocalyptic Warrior, and then a live version of Nuclear Winter. Overall, the first live show, the recording of this live show, this '86 live show, absolutely fantastic. So Troy Dixler is just fantastic on that first demo. Just a really great guttural growls, and he just has a really great sort of monstrous death thrash / death metal vocal style. And even though he sounds great and monstrous on that demo, he sounds even more so on this live recording. Like, he sounds fantastic live. And usually, sorry, excuse me. Anyway, usually with live recordings and studio recordings, usually when a vocalist does the live stuff, well, they can sound just as good as on the studio stuff. Usually the studio stuff, they sound a little bit better. But here, it's actually the opposite, where yes, that studio demo, Troy Dixler sounds fantastic and just monstrous. But it's again, he sounds even more monstrous. Even just has even a better vocal performance on this live recording. But yeah, just a fantastic live show here. And then lastly the 1987 live show with Dune Rissman on vocals. Um, Instrumentation wise, it's actually really good. But honestly, Dune Rissman his vocals in terms of the live stuff or at least this particular live show, because I haven't been able to find any other live recordings besides these two. But just comparing these two, Dune Rissman doesn't sound great live. He doesn't sound terrible live, but he doesn't sound the best live. Honestly, to me, he sounds a lot better in the studio compared to live. I don't know. I don't know. Again, it just might be this particular recording. It might be that particular day. Maybe he was already worn out from performing stuff beforehand on maybe in another venue or whatever with the band. But here, this live recording, I don't know. He just doesn't sound that great. But again, he doesn't sound terrible either. But I don't know. There could be other situations going on. Like I said, who knows with these live recordings of bands. But yeah, this live recording again, instrumentally and just all that, it sounds really good, but vocally it's not quite that good. But yeah. So before I get to my final thoughts and my verdict, I want to show you guys the artwork and everything really quickly. Now, with this compilation, there isn't much in terms of extra stuff, bonus content wise, other than, like I said, this. I guess you can count this as bonus content because this is their debut demo. Again, these two things were sold together. But other than that, really the only extra thing you get with this is the inside, because this is actually a gatefold. It comes on two red translucent vinyl, but inside you get just different tour posters or tour flyers, promotional stuff. Hold on. Okay. Sorry, I tried to make sure that was on camera, right? Yeah, so starting at the top here, we get some really cool flyers. There's one where the Devastation was touring with the band At War. At Wars are another really great, underrated band as well. They're not death thrash, they're just pretty much just regular thrash metal, but they're still really good. I don't recognize a lot of these bands on here. There's only like I'd say 3 that I recognize. Like I said, At War, which is another fantastic band. Oh, and then on here, Burnt Offering, another great thrash band. And you can see more stuff down there. But again, a lot of these bands I don't really recognize. There's some more there. And then here, and they also toured with the death metal band Master as well. And then way over there, there's 2 other ones. And then a letter, which is just about the, sort of just information on the band and how they started up. This band was actually founded by there are 2 founding members here. Of course, the bass player, Frank Kaipe, and the guitar player, Irv Brodingham. Or no, not Irv. Wait, no, sorry, it wasn't the bass player. It was the drummer and the guitarist. Sorry, I got that mixed up for a second there. But yeah, Pat Buxley and Irv Brodingham were the founding members of this band. And that's kind of just, again, that little thing there is just information on the band. And then you get a picture of the cover of their second demo, a recreation of Ripping Death. Although I think this is one of the earlier copies, considering that it does have the title, even though it has the title, even though it has the track listing of their second demo, it still has the title of their first demo. So it seems to me, just from what I've gathered, I guess I don't know exactly what happened, but apparently people did get confused and thought they released the same demo twice. Because originally, when they released their second demo, it had the exact same artwork, except for the fact that the band logo was in red instead of black, and but the track listing was different, and then it had the same name. I guess the band, I think it might have been a mistake because there are versions of that demo out there from I guess that were like slightly later on or maybe just right after that have the correct name of the second demo. Because the name of the first demo is A Creation of Ripping Death, but the official name of the second demo is A Recreation of Ripping Death, which on the track listing, or not the track listing, the information thing here on what's on here, it does have the correct title of the second demo right there. See, A Recreation of Ripping Death. But yeah, so I guess there was like a mix-up on the initial release of that second demo that accidentally still had the name of the first demo. Yeah, just really cool that even though there's not much on the inside here, at least they added some really cool printings of some old tour posters and promotional stuff. Now I'm not going to show both vinyl because they're exactly the same. Like I said, they're on both vinyl are translucent red. One of my favorite colored vinyls, actually. As you can see there, both vinyls are the exact same. Although both vinyls, instead of saying side A and side B, there's different things here. For this first vinyl, it says side ripping and side death. And then the live shows on the second vinyl, it says Live 86 and Live 87. So that's really cool. I always love it when bands get creative, and instead of just putting side 1 or side 2 or side B or side A and side B, they put something else on there. I always found that really cool. Yeah. Also, this cover art is actually, I think this was originally supposed to be the artwork for their first full-length album, the one that was never released until this compilation. Yeah, really cool. Definitely a really cool sort of like, evolved version of the, artwork on their first two demos, which again was, this, and then their second demo had the same artwork, but the logo was in red instead of black. So yeah, you can see it's just sort of an evolved or improved version of the original demo artwork, where it's instead of just the demon head, it's the full thing, and the logo again is in red, like on their second demo. Yeah. No, come on, get back in there. There we go. Yeah, really awesome artwork. Very simplistic. Again, it's one of those things where it's just a black and white sketch. But again, I love the style of album and demo artwork. Simplistic, but done very, very well, and it doesn't need to be overdone or anything. Now, before I get into my final thoughts on my verdict, there is one other thing here, and that's the hype sticker. Basically, just a couple different musicians talking about the band. It says Devastation, Chicago's death thrash legends, first time on vinyl. So I guess they were only originally on a cassette. And then so you get the first quote here is by Jeff Becerra of Possessed. It says they were a pivotal force in the underground metal scene and will live on in the minds of many. And then you get a quote by Jonas Bajoiler from the band At the Gates. Devastation was surely one of the pioneers within the death thrash movement, a big inspiration for our music. The next quote is by Mitch Harris of Napalm Death. Devastation is one of my all-time favorite bands. The riffs were some of the most dynamic and crushing compositions of the 80s. Even Slayer couldn't come close. And then the second to last quote is by Paul Arnold of the band At War. Love that band. The speed and brutality of Devastation was unmatched in the Chicago death scene. And then the final quote here is by Tom Kinzer of Cardiac Arrest. Devastation has been a major influence on my. Devastation has been a major influence of mine for over 20 years now. They were one of the top bands in the early Chicago death metal scene. There's a couple faded words on here. So there's a little like a couple words are hard to read because they're kind of faded. Yeah. Anyway. So overall, I'm gonna give this album an 8 out of 10. For the most part, it's really, really good. Now I won't fault the album for its shortcomings because, like I said, it's a compilation. It's a compilation of like a couple different excuse me, a couple different individual releases. Like I said, there are a couple things I have issue with, but again, not the album as a whole, but the individual releases. Like I said, the second demo, even though the first song is fantastic, the last three are just kind of, Nuclear Winter is just man, and the re-recorded versions of Beyond Fear and Devastation are just not that great. The instrument, all the instrumentals on here, the two, and then the re-recording of the one, are just sort of okay. The vocals on the live 87 show are just not that great. But despite the shortcomings of this compilation, most of it is fantastic. Majority of songs on the Dispensable Bloodshed album are fantastic. The first song, Cranial Hemorrhage, on the second demo is also fantastic. And the live 86 show is also fantastic. Yeah. Definitely a great compilation. Like I said, it's not perfect. There are some issues with it, but honestly, the great stuff on here, the stuff that's really good, outshines the stuff that's not so good. Just like with their debut demo, a recreation of Ripping Death, I highly recommend you get this. In fact, if you get this this compilation, it does come with the debut demo as well, so you get both. Devastation overall is one of the most underrated and underappreciated death thrash bands. And unfortunately, they didn't last long either. I think they only lasted about 2 years, from I believe 1986 to 87, because I think they broke up right before they were able to release their first and only full-length album. That being Dispensable Bloodshed. But yeah, honestly, this band has become one of my absolutely favorite death metal bands, or just extreme metal bands in general, and probably one of, if not my absolutely favorite death thrash band. I don't know. It sort of jumps between. Sometimes this band is my favorite death thrash band. Sometimes Morbid Scream is. But just an overall fantastic band and a really great compilation, despite its shortcomings. So that's about it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all next time.